Hello, dearest Libra. This isn't just another zodiac video. This is a message your soul has been quietly waiting to hear, and today, the universe decided it's time. Have you ever felt like someone was watching over you? Like a presence familiar, warm, maybe even paternal has been silently guiding your steps, especially during the moments when no one else seemed to understand? If that resonates, trust me, you're not here by accident. You're here because something greater has been aligning behind the scenes. And now, the timing is no longer just divine, it's undeniable. This is Zodiac Whisper Tarot, and today's deep reading is a sacred space created for you, Libra, the keeper of beauty, balance, and truth. You who often offer peace to others while hiding your own inner chaos. You who crave harmony but carry silent wars inside your chest. You've been balancing the scales for everyone else, and now, it's time to bring those scales back to your own heart. What if I told you that your Father, whether here on earth or in spirit, has been watching, waiting, and finally chosen this moment to send you a message? Would you listen? Because that's exactly what this is. This reading will take you on a journey to release what no longer supports you, to reconnect with your ancestral line and spiritual guardians, to return to a love that begins with you, to welcome new opportunities that align with who you truly are. But first, pause. Take a breath with me. Because everything in this message, every card that will be pulled, every word you're about to hear has been chosen for you. And your presence here already means you're ready. I want to take a moment to thank you truly for being here. For every like, every thoughtful comment, every soul who subscribes to this space, you're not just helping this message grow. You're helping it reach others who are silently praying for a sign just like you once did. And Libra, you'll want to stay until the very end of this reading, because what's about to be revealed in the cards is stunning. There's a door opening in your life that you might not even realize has been knocking for weeks now. So before we begin, I want to invite you to do something simple, something symbolic. Comment the number 6 below, your sacred number of harmony, healing, and beauty, if you feel this reading is speaking to you on a soul-deep level. Let it be your energetic yes to whatever is meant to find you today. Now, are you ready to receive the message that's been waiting for the exact moment your spirit whispered, "I'm open"? Because that moment is now. Let's begin. There's a quiet moment that happens before transformation begins, when something inside you recognizes that you've been holding on for too long. For Libra, this often comes as a whisper, not a scream. A gentle tug in the chest when you pass by an old photograph, a sudden wave of sadness when you touch a gift from someone who is no longer meant to be part of your life. It's not that you're clinging out of stubbornness. Quite the opposite, you hold on because you care, because your heart was built for beauty, memory, and meaning. But even the most harmonious soul must learn when harmony becomes stagnation, when peacekeeping becomes self-neglect. Letting go is not giving up. It's not rejecting your past or betraying your kindness. It's making space for clarity, for new breath, for the energy that actually matches who you've become. The universe, in its quiet wisdom, often waits for you to release before it reveals. Think of it like opening a window in a room that's held too much dust. The moment you let the light in, everything feels lighter, doesn't it? In this part of your journey, Libra, I want to invite you to consider how your physical space mirrors your emotional one. That corner in your room that feels heavy. That box of memories you've kept sealed but never revisit. That vase from someone you haven't spoken to in years, still placed like a shrine to a story that has long since ended. These things may look harmless, but energy speaks in silence. They carry the emotional residue of their time, both the joy and the pain, and whether you're aware of it or not, you absorb that vibration every day. This isn't about cleansing with force. It's about approaching your home, your sanctuary, with grace. Light a jasmine candle not just because it smells lovely, but because it calms your nervous system and connects you back to your breath. Play classical music because it restores the rhythm of your mind. Let pastel blue and soft silver surround you because they echo the peace and balance that your soul deeply craves. And as you walk slowly through each space, ask yourself softly, does this still reflect the person I am today? If the answer is no, honor what it once meant, and gently release it. The Justice card in Tarot card, Dear Libra, reminds us that balance is not static. It's alive. It requires adjustment, discernment, and courage. Justice isn't just about fairness in the external world, it's about being fair to yourself. When you hold on to what's no longer aligned, you deny your own growth. And in this space, we are not here to deny anything. We're here to see clearly, to act with quiet confidence, to love ourselves enough to say, I release what no longer serves me. Numerology, 2, lends its gentle wisdom. The number 6 calls for harmony, for healing in relationships, for peace that is mutual, not one-sided. As you let go, you begin to attract the kind of energy that reciprocates, that uplifts. You no longer negotiate with what drains you. Instead, you set the tone for the life you deserve. There's a quiet teaching from ancient wisdom that says, when your hands are full, you cannot receive. It doesn't come with punishment or shame, just a gentle reminder that life was never meant to be clutched. It was meant to be flowed through, embraced, released. What you let go of in love returns in grace. So as we continue through this sacred reading, take this step not in fear, but in faith. You are not losing anything. You are creating space for exactly what your soul has been praying for. And trust me, Libra, the moment you choose yourself, the universe echoes back in ways more beautiful than you can imagine. It's often easier to keep the peace than to speak the truth of your own heart. Especially for you, Libra. You've been raised, shaped, or conditioned to believe that balance is something you must maintain even when it costs you your voice. Even when it costs you your emotional well-being. And yet, true balance isn't about keeping everything calm on the outside. It's about allowing things to be real on the inside. Emotions are not interruptions to your harmony. They are instruments of truth. Like the soft tones of a string quartet, each feeling has its place, its pitch, its moment to rise. But when they're silenced too long, they don't disappear. They just go underground. And that's where the disconnection begins, not from others, but from yourself. That's why in this moment, after clearing your space physically, we now move inward into your emotional landscape. Allow what's been hidden to gently rise to the surface. Venus, your ruling planet, governs love, beauty, pleasure, but it also governs how we receive. And Libra, I wonder, how long has it been since you truly received your own emotions without trying to fix, adjust, or silence them? Venus teaches us that receiving is an act of worthiness. You don't have to explain why you feel what you feel. You just have to let it move. Let it pass through you, like wine through the leaves. This is the beginning of emotional liberation, not by force, but by permission. One of the most healing things you can do right now is to sit with yourself. No expectations, no solutions, just presence. Light a candle. Let the soft glow be a signal to your nervous system that you're safe now. You're allowed to feel. You don't have to be the graceful diplomat, the peacekeeper, the one who smiles even when something inside you trembles. Just be the version of you who breathes, who listens, who feels. There's a quiet strength in writing. Try crafting a letter not to someone else but to the part of you you've forgotten. The version of you that once laughed louder, cried freely, dreamed recklessly. What would you say to that part of yourself? What has been left unsaid in the rush to stay composed? This exercise isn't about going back in time. It's about bringing forward the emotion you've left behind. And if the tears come while you write or listen to music, let them. Music without words has a way of bypassing the mind and speaking straight to the heart. You don't need language when you're healing. You just need permission. Let the melodies carry what words can't. In this season, soft colors like champagne pink and warm beige aren't just aesthetically pleasing, they're emotionally supportive. These shades resonate with Libra's natural palette, but more than that, they soothe. They don't shout. They embrace. Wear them. Surround yourself with them. Let them remind you that gentleness is powerful too. Somewhere in the teachings that shaped many of our hearts, there's a reminder: peace that begins within cannot be taken away. It's not earned through people-pleasing or perfectionism. It's chosen, one emotion at a time, one honest breath at a time. And while the world may often celebrate those who appear untouched by emotion, the real courage lies in those who feel deeply and keep going anyway. So ask yourself, not with pressure but with kindness, when was the last time I truly listened to my own heart? Not to fix it. Not to argue with it. Just to hear it. That's where your healing begins. And that's where your balance returns, not from controlling your emotions, but from honoring them. Stay with me, Libra. We're just getting started. Sometimes, the quietest voices carry the deepest truth. And for you, Libra, those whispers don't always come from the outside, they rise from within, from a place that feels older than your thoughts, older even than your memories. That inner sense you can't explain, the way a song you haven't heard in years suddenly plays at the right moment, or how the scent of something familiar lingers in the air for no reason. That's not coincidence. That's connection. A thread gently tugging you back to your roots, to those who came before you, who still walk beside you in ways unseen. As someone who has spent a lifetime keeping harmony among others, you often forget that you are also part of a much larger symphony. One that spans generations. One that holds the stories, hopes, and even unresolved longings of your ancestral line. Being the balancer in the present often means you've inherited emotional weights that were never fully acknowledged in the past. You're not just carrying your own need for peace, you're also holding the echoes of decisions, silences, and dreams from those who came before you. This isn't a burden. It's a calling. A chance to transform what was once suppressed into something whole. The High Priestess in Tarot, which resonates deeply in this part of your reading, reminds us that knowledge isn't always learned, it's remembered. She symbolizes intuitive wisdom, the kind that doesn't need facts to feel true. And when this card appears in connection with ancestry, it often marks a turning point, a moment when you stop asking for outside answers and start listening to what your inner voice has known all along. That's your inheritance. Not just DNA, not just family stories, but an inner compass refined by generations. You may find yourself feeling things you can't explain, waves of grief without reason, a sense of protection when you're alone, or tears welling up during certain songs or seasons. Rather than dismiss these moments, welcome them. They are not interruptions. They are invitations. Invitations to acknowledge what wasn't spoken. To love what wasn't healed. And most importantly, to choose a different path, not only for yourself but for everyone who will come after you. This is where sacred action comes in. One gentle practice I recommend is drawing your family tree not from memory, but from emotion. Place those who feel close to your heart near the center, and those you've never met or don't understand just outside that circle. This is less about accuracy and more about energetic truth. As you place each name or memory, ask, what energy do I carry from this person? And what do I choose to keep or release? Writing a letter of gratitude to someone who has passed can also be profoundly healing. You don't need to send it anywhere. Just let your words become a bridge. Thank them for what they gave, forgive what they couldn't give, and affirm what you're choosing differently. When you do this, you're not only honoring your lineage, you're leading it. In numerology, 11 is known as the number of spiritual insight and purpose. It's a master number, and for Libra in this phase, it marks your role as the bridge between past and future. Your decisions now ripple across timelines. Your healing creates space for joy that your ancestors never had the chance to know. And what a beautiful responsibility that Isto turns cycles into new stories, to choose compassion over repetition. Remember, we are told through wise teachings that we do not have to repeat the pain of our fathers or the silence of our mothers. We're allowed to begin again, not out of rebellion, but out of reverence. Out of the deep love that says, because of you, I see more clearly, and because of that, I choose better. You are not disconnected, Libra. You are the connection. And the moment you realize that, the healing begins not only for you, but for everyone your light quietly reaches. After all that you've released, after clearing space in your home and your heart, it's only natural to wonder what will fill that space next. And more often than not, that wonder takes the shape of love. But for you, Libra, love has always been more than desire. It's art. It's energy. It's equilibrium. You don't just crave love to be held, you crave love to be mirrored, to be met at the same depth you so willingly offer. And yet, how many times have you softened your edges for the sake of closeness, only to realize that what you gave wasn't truly received, or worse, wasn't honored? Libra, you're ruled by Venus, the planet of connection, romance, and grace. But Venus also teaches boundaries, not the kind that shut the world out, but the kind that invite in only what aligns with your truth. You are here not to perform love, not to earn it by being agreeable, beautiful, or emotionally flexible. You are here to experience love that sees you, chooses you, and stays without requiring you to shrink. The truth is, love starts with presence. And presence begins with you. There is no shortcut to deep connection with others that bypasses the one you have with yourself. Self-love is not a luxury, it's the foundation. And it begins in the small moments. When you look in the mirror and meet your own eyes with compassion instead of criticism. When you brew a cup of tea and sip it slowly, not while checking emails, but like you're honoring yourself as a guest at your own table. When you dress beautifully, even if no one else sees you because you do. These small rituals are not vanity. They are alignment. They remind you, energetically, that you are already enough. The Empress card in Tarot, paired with the Two of Cups, brings forward this exact wisdom: love that nurtures, love that reflects, and love that multiplies when it's rooted in self-worth. These cards don't promise fairytales, they promise reality that feels gentle, fertile, and true. But here's the thing: the Two of Cups can only appear once both cups are full. That means your job is to pour into yours first. You're not being selfish. You're preparing. There's a quiet teaching from the wisdom of the ages that says, when you love your neighbor as yourself, it implies that loving yourself is part of the divine equation. How you treat yourself becomes the blueprint for how others will respond. If you offer yourself only the leftovers of your own attention, you unknowingly teach the world to do the same. But if you honor yourself with tenderness, patience, and care, you signal that your heart is sacred ground. This is also where the law of attraction becomes vibrationally clear. Emotion is frequency. And the way you feel about yourself is the frequency you emit. When you carry the belief that you are lovable, you magnetize those who reflect that belief. When you act in alignment with your value, you no longer entertain what doesn't. That's not magic, it's resonance. So allow the colors around you to support this intention. Surround yourself with rose quartz pink, the hue of emotional openness, and deep wine red, the tone of devotion and self-respect. Let your environment remind you of what you're building within. And say it, softly but clearly: I love me, with the gentlest gaze the universe could ever offer. Not because you're perfect, but because you're willing. Love isn't something you chase. It's something you return to. And right now, you're being asked to return to yourself fully, kindly, and without conditions. From that place, everything real will follow. And anything less will quietly fall away, like a season that has already served its time. Keep going. Your love story is just beginning, and this time, you are not the second choice, you are the sacred first. Where you've come from emotionally, Libra, is already setting the stage for what's next, and that includes your work, your purpose, and the way you choose to show up in the world. After releasing the weight of old energy and learning to honor yourself with love, what happens next is natural, a restructuring. But this time, it's not about chasing someone else's definition of success. It's about aligning your outer world with your inner values. And for someone like you, who feels everything and thinks in symmetries, this is where real fulfillment begins. Libra's journey with career has always been complex, not because of lack of talent, but because of abundance. You're gifted with vision, taste, refinement, and empathy. You see beauty where others see noise. You hold space in conversations most people rush through. But that very sensitivity can also pull you in a dozen directions. It's easy to say yes to what seems stable or impressive on paper. Harder to pause and ask, does this reflect who I really am? Yet that question is the one that matters most now. The work you do is not just what fills your schedule, it's what shapes your energy every day. And that energy ripples into your health, your relationships, and your self-worth. The Six of Pentacles in the Tarot reminds us that giving and receiving must be mutual, not just in relationships, but in career? Are you giving too much and receiving too little in return? Are you building someone else's dream while yours quietly waits on the back burner? The World card shows us a chapter closing, not in sadness, but in readiness. You've come full circle in some way. You've learned what you needed to from the previous cycle. And now, something new is being asked of you, not louder effort, but deeper clarity. Success, when it's real, should feel spacious. It doesn't mean there are no challenges. But it does mean that what you create is rooted in purpose, not pressure. Sometimes, we forget that progress doesn't always look like expansion. Sometimes, it looks like simplifying. Sometimes, it looks like leaving behind a title or role that once felt like everything, because your soul has outgrown the shell it used to thrive in. You're not failing when you let go. You're making space for something truer. This is also a time for self-reflection and gentle action. Refresh your resume not just with new fonts or formatting, but with new intention. Use mint green, a color of renewal and clarity, as a visual reminder that you're ready for fresh energy. Explore paths that align with your essence: design, aesthetics, collaboration, healing arts. You don't need to leap into a new identity overnight. But you do need to acknowledge what your heart keeps circling back to. That little nudge? That idea you keep brushing aside? It's trying to grow. Numerologically, the number 2 is deeply tied to Libra energy: partnership, diplomacy, harmony. This is not a time to go it alone. Collaboration is your gift. But be intentional about who you build with. Surround yourself with those who match your integrity and believe in your vision. Not just for what you do, but for how you do it. Honor your need for balance by choosing work that allows rest, beauty, and emotional presence. And here's something gently true: you were never meant to grind your way to worth. You were meant to create from peace. There's a quiet wisdom in the old guidance that reminds us we don't have to strive to be seen, only to be honest with what we're meant to carry. Sometimes the most sacred thing you can do is say no to what no longer reflects your light, so that when the right door opens, you'll be free to walk through it without hesitation. You're not behind. You're aligning. And every moment you choose integrity over approval, you move closer to a life that doesn't just look good but feels like home. Let your career path now be built not just on your skills, but on your soul. That's the version of success you've been waiting for, and now, it's ready to meet you. And now, Libra, if you've made it here, to this final moment of our journey together, then I want you to take a gentle breath, not because something is ending, but because something within you is finally ready to begin. You didn't just watch a video today. You accepted a calling. You followed the soft whisper that brought you to this space, one of healing, clarity, and rediscovery. And throughout each step, from clearing your energy, reconnecting with your emotions, honoring your lineage, reawakening self-love, and reimagining your path forward, you weren't just learning. You were remembering. Because deep down, you've always known, your soul doesn't want a life that just looks balanced. It wants a life that feels true. And Libra, when you start choosing what feels aligned, instead of what feels acceptable to others, that's when your real power begins to unfold. That's when life stops being something you manage, and becomes something you create. Maybe you didn't notice it at first, but something inside you is already shifting. The way you look at your home space. The way your heart responds to silence. The way you're starting to crave rest, realness, and a different rhythm. You're not becoming someone new. You're returning to someone sacred you. And this return doesn't have to be loud or dramatic. It can start with something as simple as lighting a candle for yourself, saying no with grace, or taking 5 quiet minutes before your day begins just to ask, what do I need right now? The journey we've taken today doesn't end when the video does. In fact, the most important part begins the moment you choose to apply what you've heard. So let me ask you, Libra, with the kindness you deserve. What part of your life is asking to be rebalanced right now? What version of you has been waiting for permission to speak, to breathe, to take up space again? And what would it look like? Just imagine if you stopped negotiating your light and started honoring it fully. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to wait for validation. You already are the harmony you're seeking. You already carry the wisdom that others are drawn to. So choose to trust that. Choose to treat yourself like the sacred energy you offer so easily to others. And if this message touched something inside you today, if you felt seen, heard, held, then I invite you to anchor it. In the comments, type the words, I choose balance and inner light. Let it be a small but powerful declaration that this is not just another video you watched, it's a moment you claimed for yourself. If you feel someone else needs to hear this, someone who might be silently waiting for a sign, please consider sharing this video. Every time you do, you help the light of Libra reach hearts that may have forgotten their own glow. Thank you, from the bottom of my heart, for being here with me today. Your presence, your openness, your willingness to reflect, that is what makes this space sacred. Every like, every comment, every subscription brings this soul work deeper into the world. And here on Zodiac Whisper Tarot, we're not just reading the stars, we're relearning to live in alignment with them. So don't forget to hit that like button if this resonated with you, and subscribe if you want to stay connected with future readings designed to guide, inspire, and empower. You are always welcome here. This isn't just a channel, it's your cosmic mirror, your quiet refuge, your reminder that you're never alone on this path. Libra, your light is needed. Not for what it does, but for what it is. Go gently, go bravely, and above all, go as you. I'll see you again soon when the universe sends the next message, just in time.